Another day, another question. Here we are. I don't know what day it is today. Is it Tuesday, Wednesday? It's been a month of Sundays, just like I said before. Today's question is, what is the most loving thing you have done for yourself? And I don't know if this is the most loving thing I've done for myself. Um, I think a lot of the things that I've done for myself have not been loving. But the thing that comes to my mind is a loving thing that I have done for myself is, going to therapy. And I started going to therapy, well, it's over a year ago, maybe a year and a half. I'd have to look back and check that out. But I started going to therapy because I lost my dad, and I've talked here and there about my dad and losing my dad and those circumstances. And there's other videos about that if you'd like to, go back and learn a little bit more about that. I'll leave those details out for now. But that time period, losing my dad was kind of the final straw in what I could handle, because leading up to that, my daughter had been diagnosed with Crohn's disease after a prolonged period of illness. And I, in a lot of ways, blamed myself for that because I know that the DNA involved with that disease came from me. And I held myself responsible for all of her care as her mother. And Crohn's disease can be very devastating. She has good control over her disease now with medication. She's relatively healthy. She feels good. Her future is bright. And then shortly after that, my dad died. And then my husband had a heart attack. And at this point, I'm not sure if that's in the right order. I think my husband, anyway, those three things happened in a course of 18 months. And then the well-structured coping skills that I thought would get me through anything just weren't. And I also, I deal with depression. I have for most of my adult life and probably most of my teenage life. And when those things happened, I felt like the floor was ripped out from under me, and I couldn't go on as I had. And I could not deal with simple things. I would do something like burn something we were going to eat, and then that would cause me to have a complete meltdown, feel like a failure, decide that everything I was doing was a waste of time. And after several incidences of locking myself in my bedroom and crying my eyes out, or just laying on the floor, or starting to have, self-destructive behavior, I decided it was time to, my husband had suggested, and I decided it was time to, in fact, get myself into counseling, therapy. And at the time, I thought, well, this is going to be really easy. We're going to talk about the things that happened, and I am going to forgive myself, forgive my dad, not take responsibility for everybody and everything in my life, and I'm going to be better, and it's going to be easy. Well, it's not easy. Therapy is not easy. Initially, your first appointments are easy because it's just like background information, and they want to know, depending on the program that your therapist picks out, they want to know what's going on with you immediately. We'll put out the fires that are immediately going on, and then they want to go into, why you are the way you are. And therapy's hard. And it makes you look at the things that are actually your responsibility, and the things that you have allowed to continue to go on that are damaging, and the ways that I kept silent about things that were not my responsibility. So after, it gave me a lot of healing going to therapy. Having another person tell me the things that I needed to work on, that I actually was justified in the way that I felt about things and had been processing things as an adult, and that I wasn't being, I can't think of the word, that I wasn't demanding too much, because I always had this feeling that my needs and what I needed from the people I loved was demanding too much. Like, I'm asking for too much. I'm unreasonable. That's the word. Unreasonable. My demands are unreasonable, because honestly, I didn't really have any demands. I had demands that I kept in my head. I had a list of things that I thought I needed in my head, but I didn't really share those things unless I was in a meltdown, where I'm like crying, screaming, laying on the floor, and my poor husband is trying to figure out what the heck is wrong with her. And then I would list all these demands. Well, that is not the time to discuss those things, because you come off poorly. Poorly, we'll just say it like that. But it has made me see, going to therapy and discussing the things and making changes and having a list of things that I need to work on has made me see where the value is in the way that I am, where the value is in the way I was created, how I benefit the people around me. And it has made me love myself better. So, as much as going into therapy felt like a defeat, it absolutely felt like a defeat. Like, I can't do this alone and something's wrong with me. That's what I felt like. Like, I should be able to handle this on my own. I'm an intelligent person. I know a lot of things. I know when things are good or bad. I should be able to do it myself, right? And the fact that I couldn't made me feel like I had failed, made me feel like I was defeated, like I wasn't a whole person if I couldn't take care of everything myself. And I don't feel that way anymore, but going in, I did. And sometimes you need an outside person, an outside source to look at your situation and say, Joy, this is not working. You cannot continue to do things this way because you can't survive it. And going in, and after a year after my dad passed away, when it finally hit me, the whole gravity of that, I couldn't go on like I had. None of my coping mechanisms were working. I could only scrub my cabinet so many times before I start removing the finish. And scrubbing my cabinets was not making my heart hurt less. Scrubbing my cabinets was not making me deal with the fact that I had lost a father that I didn't have in the first place because he chose his addiction over his family. And that I had to forgive myself for not chasing after him. So, yeah, there's my story for today. I hope you have a beautiful day. Your question for today is, what is the most loving thing you have done for yourself? I appreciate you guys. I will see you next time. Live in love out of the way you were created.